Mr. Speaker, I seek to be recognized for as much time as I may consume. I rise in support of H.R. 3935, the Securing Growth and Robust Leadership in American Aviation Act, introduced by TNI Committee Chair Graves, Subcommittee Chair Graves, Subcommittee Ranking Member Cohen, and myself. And I do want to, as well, extend my thanks to the Chairman of the full committee, Sam Graves of Missouri, and the Subcommittee Chair, Garrett Graves of Louisiana, for their commitment to a bipartisan effort done in good faith to get this bill done that protects the flying public and secures the future of the U.S. aviation system. In my own state of Washington State, the aviation sector is a powerful engine, economic engine that creates good paying jobs and supports local communities in the Pacific Northwest. And this bill delivers for my constituents as well as for all Americans across the country. It advances American leadership in aviation safety and innovation, strengthens and diversifies our aviation workforce, expands consumer protections and accessibility, and fosters environmental sustainability in aviation. Although the U.S. aviation system is the safest in the world, the last few years have shown there is still work to do. The rise in runway near misses at some U.S. airports expose a vulnerability for the flying public. This reauthorization will help prevent these events by expanding ground surveillance and detection capabilities to all large and medium hub U.S. airports. Further, unruly passengers continue to pose a threat to flight crews and other frontline workers. This bill better protects workers by creating a task force on preventing assaults against airline personnel and enforcing the requirement that airlines establish employee assault and response plans. Recent flight cancellations and delays have shaken the confidence of passengers in the U.S. aviation system. To get us back on the right course, the reauthorization requires airlines to create resiliency plans to address mass flight disruptions. It also takes steps to make passengers whole by requiring airlines to develop policies to cover food and hotel expenses due to flight disruptions. The bill also supports the administration's push for family seating by requiring airlines to establish policies allowing passengers to sit next to their young children if adjacent seats are available. Also, for too long, passengers with disabilities have experienced inexcusable barriers in air travel, from challenges with boarding the aircraft and inaccessible onboard lavatories to damaged and mishandled wheelchairs and mobility aids. This bill paves the way for safer and more dignified air travel for this particular community by directing the DOT to create a roadmap for airlines to reduce damage to mobility aids and to improve training for airline personnel and contractors on assisting passengers with disabilities. Climate change is a growing threat to millions of Americans and the infrastructure we rely on, and this bill makes groundbreaking investments in sustainability, increasing federal funding for the Airport Improvement Program from $3.35 billion to $4 billion, and dedicating a minimum of $150 million to airport environmental and noise programs. It also allows U.S. airports to use these funds for alternative fuel infrastructure and environmental resiliency projects, and works to mitigate the impacts of aviation noise on local communities. It directs the FAA to review and revise federal aviation noise standards, to seek feedback from neighboring communities as well. Furthermore, the bill requires the FAA to take certain actions to reduce undesirable aircraft noise when implementing or revising a flight procedure. These actions build the foundation for a cleaner future for our aviation ecosystem. And to secure American leadership in aerospace innovation, we must provide a clear and predictable framework for emerging industries to scale safely while ensuring the needs of communities are addressed. From drones to electric or hydrogen-powered aircraft, advanced aviation technologies have clear economic and societal benefits. In Washington State, drones will soon be used to deliver critical medical supplies in the Tacoma area, helping to reduce barriers to care for patients. This authorization also requires the FAA to issue proposed rules for drones to safely scale in this country, providing regulatory certainty to a growing sector, ensuring their safe integration into our skies and creating U.S. jobs. It also helps state, local, and tribal governments acquire drones for infrastructure inspection and repair to help workers do their jobs more safely, and extends a program that I championed to fund states and community efforts to plan for a future with advanced air mobility operations and infrastructure. And our talented and dedicated U.S. workforce is the backbone of American aviation and makes the nation's leadership in aviation safety and innovation possible. And this reauthorization is a jobs bill. It helps build the economy from the middle out and the bottom up and diversifies the aviation workforce, recognizing how critical that effort is to our nation's long-term economic success, making robust investments in the FAA's Aviation Workforce Development Program, to upskill the next generation of pilots, maintenance technicians, manufacturing workers, and other critical professions. It will help local businesses like Aviation Tech Services in Everett, Washington, to expand their apprenticeship and training programs and compete in the rapidly evolving global aviation sector. The bill also creates the Willow Brown Aviation Education Program and establishes a national center for the advancement of aerospace to support and promote aviation workforce development opportunities for everyone. And crucially, it requires the FAA to hire the maximum number of air traffic controllers, as well as to adopt the most appropriate controller staffing model to meet growing airspace needs. And I want to spend my final bit of comments on the Disadvantaged Business Enterprise Program, because this bill also reaffirms and strengthens the U.S. Department of Transportation's DBE program. And as we increase investment under this bill and dedicate federal dollars to airport projects, it is imperative that we ensure the process of awarding federal transportation contract dollars that allows for full participation on a level playing field by minority-owned and women-owned businesses. The committee has accumulated evidence attesting to systemic discrimination that women and minorities face in their attempts to establish, grow, and operate construction businesses, including those seeking contracts for airport construction projects and airport concessions across the country. This evidence, including testimony at a hearing titled Driving Equity, the U.S. Department of Transportation's Disadvantaged Business Enterprise Program, held on September 23, 2020, since the passage of the last bill. We've received and reviewed disparity studies, testimony, and other evidence, including statistical analysis contained in numerous disparity studies conducted since 2018, the Department of Justice report on lawful uses of race or sex in federal contracting programs, and the DOT's own report on DBE goal attainment. These studies and reports continue to demonstrate that race and gender-neutral efforts alone are insufficient to address the problem. The evidence demonstrates that discrimination across the U.S. poses an injurious and enduring barrier to full and fair participation in airport-related businesses of women business owners and minority business owners, and has negatively affected firm formation, development, and success in many aspects of airport-related businesses in public and private markets. The evidence provides a clear picture of the inequality caused by this discrimination that continue to plague our nation, and strong basis that there's a compelling need for the continuation of the Disadvantaged Business Enterprise Program to address race and gender discrimination in airport-related businesses. So I'd ask unanimous consent to include in the record over 65 studies and reports spanning communities in 25 states showing significant disparity between the use of DBE and non-DBE subcontractors. The full text of each report is held on file electronically with the Committee on Transportation and Infrastructure.
The gentleman's request is covered under general leave.
The Securing Growth and Robust Leadership in American Aviation Act is a long-term, comprehensive, and bipartisan reauthorization that cements a safer, cleaner, greener, and more innovative and accessible future for the U.S. aviation system. I want to end my opening comments by again thanking Chair Graves and Subcommittee Chair Graves for making sure that they were reaching out to the Democratic side of the aisle to ensure that we could have a bipartisan and collaborative bill put together. And I want to thank Subcommittee Ranking Member Cohen for his leadership as Ranking Member of the Aviation Subcommittee, and for all the staff for their hard work as well. Particularly, I want to thank the minority staff of the Subcommittee on Aviation, Staff Director Brian Bell, Professional Staff Alex Minardi, Counsel Adam Weiss, and our FAA detailee Liz Foro for their hard work and countless hours they spent crafting this legislation with their majority counterparts. So I urge my colleagues to support this bill and reserve the balance of my time.
Gentleman reserves. Gentleman from Missouri is recognized.